Hi, welcome to the Radon Information Session for Satellite Cree Nation. We are glad that you've taken time to listen to this session today. We are going to go over some quick information about what radon is and the impact that it has on your health. And we'll also cover how to fix it and then the aspects of testing for our 100 Test Kit Challenge project that we're doing with Roland and the team at Satellite Cree. Take Action on Radon is proud to unite members from across the country, which encompass the traditional territory of many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people whose ancestral footsteps and rights extend beyond our colonial boundaries that exist today. And we respectfully honor these people's rights, history, and relationships with this land. My name is Pam Workington, and I'm the Executive Director of the CARST and CNRPP, our National Radon Proficiency Program and Certification Program, and also the project manager for Take Action on Radon. And I'm joined today with Erin Curry, and she is our regional director for Take Action on Radon and Karsten CNRPP. And I'm coming from Winnipeg, which is on Treaty 1 territory, home of the Anishinaabe Cree, Oji Cree, Dene, and homeland of the Métis. Radon is a gas. It's linked to lung cancer. So it's the leading cause of lung cancer for people who don't smoke, and it's a second cause of lung cancer for people who do smoke. And so radon is a radioactive gas, which means it spontaneously breaks down and releases energy. And so we know that this is a health risk by the biological impact, the fact that it's a gas, that it's radioactive. When we breathe it in and the radon decays, it creates damage to our cell tissue and can start lung cancer development. And so it's been researched across the world and across Canada. And so we do know this from residential case studies that have confirmed it. So both the World Health Organization and the IARC, which is the organization that oversees carcinogens, all agree that radon is a known carcinogen. So there's many things in our world that we think might cause cancer, or that there's small statistics that show that there's a slight link. But radon is a known carcinogen. So they've directly linked the risk of radon and breathing it in to lung cancer. And in Canada, Health Canada estimates that over 3,000 people that are dying of lung cancer is linked to radon exposure. Now, it provides a risk for people who have no smoking history, but it also increases the risk for people who smoke. And so for somebody who smokes, testing and reducing radon exposure is even more important. A person who has no smoking history and is exposed to high levels of radon has about 5% chance of getting lung cancer, or 1 in 20. A person who has both smoking and high radon exposure has a 33% chance of getting lung cancer, so 1 in 3. And so it's quite significantly higher for somebody who has the combined smoking and radon exposure. And so this is a pamphlet that Health Canada has developed to help bring awareness to smokers about the risk from radon. And it's not only Health Canada that's concerned about that risk, but the World Health Organization also. They estimate that about somebody who smokes is about 25 times more at risk when they're also exposed to radon than just if they were a smoker alone. Radon is a gas. It comes from our soil. So we have uranium in our soil all across the country, and uranium breaks down and eventually becomes radon. Uranium is a solid, so it stays in the soil, but radon is a gas, and so it moves up out of the soil, and it can enter any building that has contact with the ground. So any building that has openings such as a crawl space or cracks or sump pits between the soil and the ground has the potential of having elevated levels of radon. We've done a little bit of research in the Alberta area. And so these are some of the surveys that we've done from the province of Alberta. In Black Diamond, when we did a 100 Test Kit Challenge in that community, we found that over 40% of the homes had elevated radon. In Sundre, Alberta, we found over 50% of the homes had elevated radon. And then in Spruce Grove, just under 10% of the homes had high levels of radon. So we have looked at some of the data for your area. Now, the postal code data that we've got actually encompass a fairly large geographical area, but Satellite Cree Nation is in this area, and we really only have 42 data points from this entire geographic area. So we are really looking forward to getting some of you to test for radon and help us with providing more data so we can understand how many data points are. But Health Canada has done research across the country, and we know that all regions have the potential to have elevated levels of radon. Really, the research that we're gathering is to figure out what percentage in each region may have elevated radons. And really the most important is to figure out which homes have elevated radon. And really one house next to the other house has the potential for different radon levels. And so we don't know what radon level a home has unless that house is tested. And it's not just homes that have elevated radon, but schools and really any building that's in contact with the ground. So we really encourage you to test community center, the band office, workplace, all workplaces as well should be tested. And testing for radon is really easy. When we test for radon, we test using a long-term test. Because radon is a gas, levels can change. And so the way that air pressures are different between inside our home and outside our home can affect how the gas enters and how much of the gas enters. And so there are things that you can do that will change those pressures, things of how you use your home or the environment outside your home. But what we want to know is what your average exposure is. And so when you test for radon, you want to test for 91 days or a minimum of 91 days, but it can be longer. And the detectors that we use for testing for radon are these little detectors. So when you open up your package, you'll see that it's covered in plastic, and it's about the size of my palm. So it's a little square detector. All you need to do is cut open that package and take out the little black detector. You can use a string and you can hang it up, or you can put it on a shelf. But once you take it out of that clear plastic package, it's open and ready for testing. Now, the testing is just the first step. After you test for radon, you're going to drop the detector back at the health center, and we'll ship the detectors back to the lab for analysis. And the lab will provide a report. And this report will determine whether or not the radon levels are high and what timeframe should be reduced. Health Canada recommends that any home that has more than 200 becquerels per meter cubed should be reduced. And so they've got timeframes of 1 or 2 years. And so this is important to note that if you test and have high levels, it's not an urgent risk. So it's not a concern to get out of the house right away. You can live in your home, and the council will prepare to help you connect with a mitigation professional and be able to reduce the levels. Or if you are in your own home and you're responsible for mitigating it, we can help you with connecting as well. It's a chronic risk. So we do recommend that you take action before 1 year or 2 years, depending on if your levels are between 2 and 600 or above 600 becquerels per meter cube. And the good news is there are research techniques to reduce the radon levels. And Health Canada has done research to show that it is very efficient in reducing even high levels to really quite low levels. And in fact, on average, they've shown to reduce it at about 90%. And so there is a national certification program, and we can direct you and the community a list of professionals that will come and help with reducing the radon levels in the community. And a radon mitigation system looks something like this. And so if your home has a concrete slab on the ground, then a pipe is installed in such a way that it goes down through the concrete slab into this void space. And this is just an open space that provides a little bit of communication beneath the slab of your home. And then the pipe provides a pathway up and out of the home. And so that the radon gas goes right from the soil beneath your home up and gets discharged out. And we've shown that research shows that it discharges to really quite low levels, even a short distance from this pipe. Now, it's important when this is installed that it's installed in such a way that the foundation of the house is well sealed up. And so a certified professional can come in and make sure that he'll do some tests to make sure that the levels are of air that are drawing are going to be enough to reduce the levels in the home, and the fan is just large enough. So we don't want a too We don't want too big of a fan. We want a fan that's properly sized for each home in the community. And so this is a really efficient system, but it does need to be installed properly. And we do have a certification program, list of professionals that you can call on to help. And these are some pictures of what it looks like in a typical home. So it'll go up and out through the side of the home. And so we've talked with Roland and the community about mitigation, but if there are people that own their own home, there is a national grant program also that's available. And so you can apply for financial support to help with reducing the cost of the mitigation. Now, there also are building codes across Alberta that do cover radon control measures, and all homes that are built, even with the radon control measures as part of the National Building Code, still need to be tested for radon to determine whether a fan needs to be added and an additional pipe. So really all homes, whether they're new or old, need to be tested for radon to determine what levels of radon are in the home and if a mitigation system needs to be installed. Okay, I'm going to hand it off to Erin, and she's going to talk about testing.
Thanks very much, Pam. Okay, so the program that we're running in your community this winter is called the 100 Radon Test Kit Challenge. This is the 6th year that we're offering the program, and this year we're very pleased to be running in more than 40 communities across Canada, right from BC out to Newfoundland and everywhere in between. So basically, there's 5 easy steps to the program. You will begin by picking up your radon detector. You will place it by following the instructions. Your detector will come in an envelope, and inside that envelope is an instruction sheet. So you'll just follow the instructions on the sheet. There's 2 ways for you to register your Radon Test Kit. If you're able, we ask you to go to radontestkitchallenge.ca and complete a little questionnaire there. It's very important for us to have a little bit of basic information to go with your radon test so that you can get your report. You need like your name, the address of the building that you tested, and most importantly, and maybe not obvious, but we need the date you start the test and the date you end the test, because that's how the lab's going to calculate your radon level. So once you've done that, you just leave it in place for 100 days. And at the end of the 100-day testing period, we're going to start getting in touch with you, and the community is going to start advertising that it's time to bring your radon test kit back and return it to us. So we ask that you either go back online the way you did to give us your information at the beginning. We ask that you do that again at the end. The other alternative is there's space for you to write that on the envelope and then return the envelope with the radon test kit. So that's an option as well, which is especially handy if you don't have great internet access, for example, or a computer at home. So this is an image of what the instructions are for placing your radon detector. So basically, radon comes from the ground, like Pam mentioned. And so radon does tend to be higher in the lower levels of the home. And because of that, we suggest that if you have a basement where you spend any amount of time, that you test your basement. If, however, you have a basement, but it's not finished or it's a crawl space, you don't spend any time down there, then you're going to test the ground floor of your home. And within that level of your home, you're going to choose a room. So for example, a room where you spend a good amount of time. A bedroom is perfect. An office, a place where you sit and watch television, any of those are great. And you're just going to place the detector somewhere where it can stay in place for 3 months. So on a shelf, on the corner of a table, on a desk, all of those are ideal placement locations for your radon detector. So just think of where you spend the most time in a room and place the radon detector there. So here are some examples: right beside a bed, right beside a couch, beside a desk. The only places to avoid are like right beside a window, because often there's a bit of fresh air that's leaking in through the window. Don't put it right next to a door that opens to the outside, just because, again, you're going to have that fresh air coming in and diluting the radon that's in the air. And you want this to be a representative measurement of the radon that you're breathing in your home. So once you've placed the radon detector, on the next slide, we have what it looks like if you go to radontestkitchallenge.ca, and you would click on the Start Survey. And like I said, there's a few questions that we really need you to answer, like your name, your email address, the address of the home, that type of thing. But then there's others that are optional. We call them like our building survey questions. These are questions where if you say yes, you're basically just helping us with our research. And we'll ask you about features of your home. Do you have this type of opening in your basement or that type of opening? How do you heat your home? That style of question. So once you've completed that form or written the information onto your envelope, then you're good to go. We just want you to write down the date before you forget, because if I don't have your date and I get your detector back in the spring, I'm going to be getting in touch with you and you're going to go, I have no idea what day I started the detector. So that's why it's so important that you write it down right away. Once you've done that, there's really nothing more for you to do for 100 days. Now, I will mention we do quality assurance part of our testing program. And one of the ways we do that is by sending out duplicate detectors. So in 10 out of every 100 envelopes that we send out, there are 2 detectors instead of 1 detector. If you get one of these envelopes with 2 detectors, we ask that you treat them the same and place them side by side. So don't test 2 separate areas of your house. That's not the point. The goal is really for these detectors to be placed side by side and spend the whole time side by side, so that when they get back to the lab, we do the readings on each detector, and we want to make sure that they're showing really similar results. So that's the goal there. So at the end of the 100 days, like I say, we'll be sending out emails and the community will be advertising. So if you do the online thing, then please click online and do the end survey. And neither survey is very long. It'll take maybe 5 minutes of your time. If you don't have computer access, you can just write down the date that you are ending your radon test on the envelope. That's also really important. So on your envelope, if you're using the envelope system, you should have your name and your address, and then you should have those 2 dates. And then you pop your detector back into the envelope and you return it during the week. There'll be a week or so where we're collecting the radon tests in your community. So how will you receive your radon report? Well, you'll receive it 6 to 8 weeks later. It takes a little while for us to collect all the radon detectors, get all the data ready, send them off to the lab, and then the lab will generate these reports. If we have an email address for you, then we will email you the report. If we don't have an email address for you, then we will be printing these and sending them to the community for distribution. And on this radon report, there will be a number. There's radon gas in all air. There's radon present outdoors and indoors. So you will have a number on your report. It's merely a matter of how much radon. So you're going to be comparing the number on your report to Health Canada's recommendations that we'll send back. So if it's a number that's greater than 200, that means Health Canada suggests that you take action to reduce your levels. If it's a number lower than 200, then Health Canada doesn't necessarily recommend that you do anything. And we'll be reminding you of what that level is when we send out the reports again. So then we also prepare what we call the community report. And this is just a summary of all the results. And this is the way that we're able to share data in a confidential way. So the example on the screen is from Peachland, which is a town in British Columbia. And 77 homes participated in testing with us a few years ago. 41% of the homes that we tested above that guideline level of 200. And we represented this as a little image. So the homes that are red in the image are those that tested above the guideline level. And then the ones that were yellow tested between 1 and 200 becquerels per meter cubed. And then the green homes are those that tested below the guideline, like way below the guideline, below 100 becquerels per meter cubed. So less than half the guideline level. And we also include some information on there about like what radon is, why it's a health concern, and that type of thing. So that's something that would be, your personal report. You should get 6 to 8 weeks after you return your detector, and that community report will be coming out towards the end of next summer, most likely. So you can start picking up your radon detectors at the Saddle Lake Health Centre at 5051 11th Avenue, Saddle Lake, Alberta, between 9 and 5, Monday through Friday. And you can pick them up from now, at the beginning of December, right through to the end of December. And I'll pass it back to Pam in case she has any other details to share with you.
Yeah, so you can check in with Roland White. He'll have the packages, and so you can get a detector from him. And then at the end of the project, as Erin mentioned, you'll put the detector in place and leave it for at least a minimum of the 91 days. And so Roland is collecting the detectors during the week of April 2nd to April 4th. And so you can drop your detector off again at the health center. So as Erin mentioned, there'll be an end date on the envelope, so you can mark down the date on the envelope, or there is an online form, so you can go in and log into the online form and complete that information as well on the, and so the same you'll pick them up at the health center and then you'll drop them back after 3 months at the health center as well. And so we are here. We really appreciate your time to take and listen to this, and we are happy to help with answering questions. Roland is a great resource as well. So he's been putting lots of effort into getting this project going in your community. And so you can talk with him, and you can also reach out to us if you have any questions. You can give us a call, or you can email us, or you can also talk to Roland, or you can message us through Facebook too, through Facebook Messenger. And so, yeah, thanks so much for your time. We really appreciate this. This is really an important health measure. And so we're glad that you're taking time to learn about it today. And we look forward to connecting with you throughout the next 3 months and helping you connect with your report at the end of this project. All right, that's all for us today. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.